of simpler organisms. He looks at where we ourselves fit into this scale spectrum of complexity. First, there are the viruses, which are almost too simple to be alive. They seem more like molecules than creatures, each not much more than an encapsulated coil of RNA or DNA. The ultimate freeloaders, they hijack the machinery of more fully developed living cells in order to function. Then, there are the simplest undifferentiated cells, the bacteria. More complex cells are made up of various component parts, each of which is itself rather like one of those simple bacterial cells. These complex cells can exist as free-floating individuals or can be loosely bound with others in various colonial arrangements. Finally, as Asimov describes, cells can drown their individuality and abandon their free-living abilities in order to form a multicellular organism, which may be as simple as a flatworm or as complicated as a giant sequoia, a whale, or a man. He points out, however, that the hierarchy does not end there. A multicellular organism by itself is often useless. It needs others to survive and propagate. All but the simplest reproduce sexually. Many are dependent for their survival on more complex social arrangements, a herd, a school, a flock, or, in our case, a tribe or society. Some, for example the social insects, have such tight interdependence with other individuals that they form what might be called superorganisms. And in those cases, it may legitimately be questioned whether individuality resides in the organism or the hive. Just as we individual humans are multicellular organisms, each an exquisite arrangement of 40 trillion cells, with the whole being greater than the sum of its parts, so we cannot fully manifest our humanity or survive for long without joining together to form larger associations. Asimov sums it up. As individual multicellular organisms, however, we would be less willing to agree that a complex society or state is greater than the sum of the individual organisms making it up. We would be less ready to judge that it is a cheap price to give up our individualism to become part of a society. Yet the tug is there. It is as though we are at some stage of evolution between the multicellular and the multi-organismic. It strikes me that the tension Asimov identifies here is at the heart of many of our political, economic, spiritual, and environmental struggles. We are trying to work out this question of how to thrive as individuals who also cannot exist without some larger cooperative order. Ever since the time most of us gave up hunting and gathering in the clans with which we roamed for almost all human history, and instead domesticated into villages, cities, and nations, we've been trying to figure out how to organize ourselves. Our initial success at banding together in groups to solve problems and invent technologies allowed us to change our world without knowing it. Now that we see what we've done, we face new challenges that require us to develop new cultural technologies, new civilizational solutions that allow for coherent action among much larger groupings. Yet we're not insects, and we cannot subsume ourselves to the hive. We need our individual freedom and creativity, but now, as never before, we are confronted with the need to make smart, coherent, collective technological choices on a global scale in order to survive. It would not surprise me one bit if someday we learned that intelligent species on other planets also have had to struggle with some version of this same evolutionary dilemma. This tension between our individual and collective selves is evident in the trouble we're having grasping the depth of our role in the changes now enveloping our planet. Somehow our minds and our inventions, our cognitive systems and their material extensions have become part of the workings of this world. We got here because we are so good at communicating, cooperating, inventing, and making plans. But we never planned for this. What a strange journey this planet has been on. Born as an inanimate orb, it hatched and became animated, with life soon spreading everywhere around and through it, and embedded deeply in its mechanisms. Later, life generated mind.